On this episode of that Kingsville podcast, hey guys, we already got one of them predictions that we had last episode be proven wrong. Like really wrong.
Mine was right.
Yeah, mine wasn't. Whoops a daisy. Hey, there's a provincial.
What, the Lions aren't winning the Super Bowl?
That too, I know.
I had to bust the hat out again.
Yeah.
Because I took a week hiatus, and then I threw it back on because I was like, you know what, they still played well, and then I think I've been wearing it for like 3 days, and I've been chirped.
Yeah,
like every day.
Tell them to shut up. 15-2. So yeah, provincial election.
Yeah.
That one.
We talk a little bit about some provincial funding for the town of Kingsville, and special guests from the Kingsville Food Bank, Meghan and Heather, join us in studio later on this episode of That Kingsville Podcast. That Kingsville Podcast proudly brought to you by Kingsville Brewery. I figured I sing this jingle. I sing it every episode.
Yeah.
It's it just spices it up a little bit.
Maybe they should hire you for commercials.
you put me like.
Would you consider doing it for free for beer?
Radio
like
Dave?
That's what we're already doing. Yeah.
What's that?
Radio Dave.
Radio Dave.
Hey, everybody, it's Radio Dave.
Formerly Committee Dave.
Yeah, no, that's
So which would you go with? Would you ask them for some IPA or some delicious Hefeweizen?
My personal favorite is the Czech lager.
The Czech.
But I also, when it's cold, like it's been, the stout warms you up, warms the cockles.
Oh, yeah. Gets deep.
Yeah. Free delivery, Windsor, Essex County, Kingsville Brewery.
I leave your house to buy beer when it can get delivered to your
right to your door. Thank you, Kingsville Brewery, for supporting That Kingsville Podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to That Kingsville Podcast. We're back. It's me, Dave, Kevin, Steve. So, gentlemen, like I teased in the pitch, we got a provincial election coming down the pipeline here in February.
Can we do a quick PSA?
Yeah, dive in.
Because there is one thing that I feel like we need to remind people. It's a little bit nicer outside, and so there was more people out and about. And for whatever reason today, people decided to wear black at night and then walk and or jog and or ride their bikes on the road.
Kevin, did you hit someone on your way over here today?
So close, like 3 times. And I drive about
same person,
a minute and a half. Yeah, I was in circles. They're really fast.
Where's
like
next time
Richard Lima walking fast. And honestly, if you're out, and I know it's nice, like it's warmed up. It was minus a million. Yeah. Now it's plus like 1.5. Yeah. Just remember safety. It's still dark. Even though it's warm out ish, quotes, it's still dark. If you're wearing black, don't run in the dark on the road.
Words to live by.
Done. Off my soapbox.
The boys have been teaching me about puns and dad jokes and whatnot. Not even a hint. Okay, all right. Well,
that was good.
It was good.
Kev, those headlights in your car. Maybe we need to change the bulbs or something. We're not seeing anything.
No, I saw them.
Check that. When's the last time you had your prescription checked?
I don't want to get into it.
Okay, well, moving on. So, like I said, provincial election coming end of February 27th. Happened sooner than I thought, but guess what? The commotion across the pond or the ditch there kind of instigated a little bit of, I guess, the impetus to have an election. You guys were right. I was wrong.
I think some people are kind of terrified of what might happen.
No, we're not gonna. Don't do it, Gary.
We can't
tax the
pun it
jokes.
on.
Oh, don't do it, Gary. Hold off. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We're going to start to see who the candidates are for the parties. Local Anthony Liardi going to be running again.
For the
Conservatives, we'll see who's going to represent the Liberal Party. Hopefully, we'll be able to speak to some of them through this process, but who knows?
Well, it's quick. So the next episode, or we won't be.
Right. That's pretty much it. So, well, we might do 2 between now.
NDP candidate Rachel Mills.
Yes, correct. So
her nomination meeting was, I think, yesterday, the day before.
Mm-hmm. There's a kickoff or something tomorrow night.
Yeah. There's lots of Doug Ford's going to be down here in Windsor.
It was today.
Well, it's Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, he was down at the bridge with the bridge in Detroit as his backdrop to officially open the campaign, which is an interesting choice, but it's a pretty blue area. This area.
Gretzky's riding.
It is in Gretzky's riding. Yeah, the NDP.
Whoops a daisy.
Well,
but Also because of the international, trade conduit, busiest border for trade in the world.
I get it.
Yeah, is a thing. So stay tuned. We'll see what we can do. And, this non-news 3 buffoon show that we have, we'll see if they want to talk to us. It's not the first time, but we'll see if we can do something. But there was an announcement in town of Kingsville as well, too. Big one. Just last week, to the tune of $7.4 million of infrastructure funding from the province of Ontario to help support West
Their
Side
campaign. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Go ahead.
Timing
Sorry.
was impeccable. Infrastructure for the West Side Collector Road is something we've been speaking about in the town of Kingsville for the past, decade, more than that. Like the need to connect Road 2 to the
In a
Heritage.
roundabout way.
Okay, that one you can give him one.
No, I think they've actually.
There's no roundabout.
No, I was going to say they're not. I don't think they're going to go ahead with the roundabout.
No
No,
roundabout.
it's going to be an intersection. But yeah, so I reached out to Mayor Dennis Rogers, and unfortunately he was not able to join us on the show, but he did send some segments of some of his statement when the funding was received. Anthony Liardi was in town to help present this and, just discussing what benefits it was going to have in our community. So Dennis says the grant substantially funds the West Side Collector Road, which is a pivotal part in opening up development on the west side of town. That means we will not require existing taxpayers to fund the costs of growth. Not only will this new road provide residents with an alternate route through town, adding to the multiple solutions this council has approved to help eliminate congestion on the east side, but the overall project, which includes a new water main, will have a transformative impact on development in town and how Kingsville looks in the future. We're growing and actively planning for the future, committed to investing in critical infrastructure, making sure community is strong and residents and businesses are prioritized and long-term vision remains in sight. And then there was a little bit more, but hey, guess what? You guys wanted a small town Kingsville. That's going to probably facilitate 2,900-ish homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
some of them townhomes, some of them condos.
It's going to be an interesting 6 to 10 story.
There's going to be commercial development. Again, something that we need as we're kind of, out of commercial development space in our current footprint. That is, unless we are able to acquire Kingsville Public or Kingsville District High School properties, and then they could develop those into mixed commercial, residential, and whatnot. But yeah, big things happening with that announcement. Joining us on the show, Heather and Meghan from Kingsville Food Bank. Thanks for coming on the podcast, ladies.
Thanks for having us.
There's been a lot of news about the food bank lately, and it's exciting. So we asked if you guys were able to come and join and tell us all about it. So we'll start with the announcement first, and then kind of backtrack. So
Sure.
What happened recently?
Well, go ahead.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Recently, we secured a 10-year lease with the town of Kingsville for a brand spanking new home to us. It's not brand spanking new to the town. Obviously, everybody in town, I think, knows where the Lions Hall is. So we will be occupying the south side of the Lions Hall, right? The south end, that would be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that far end.
So that's new and exciting. Better.
Well, yeah, securing a much-needed resource for the town of Kingsville for the next decade.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
And better location, right?
Right.
So right now we're like right on the main street.
All eyes on you.
Our goal has been, since Heather and I got involved with the food bank, to kind of move it from the main street. Obviously, times of need, you don't need to be on display. So yeah, it's exciting.
The how now we've had people in from the food bank before. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
How did you guys get involved?
Well, it was probably going on almost 7 years. 7 years. We're in our 6th year. I started volunteering there when Linda Lynch and Lynn LaFontaine, the old coordinators that have stepped down, they put their time in. So Heather and I have been volunteers there since the last 6-7 years. Put in our time. Saw there was obviously a need for someone to take the place of Lynn and Linda when their time came to step down. So we've kind of just pegged our way, and now we're the coordinators.
So we just finished our first year of actually being the coordinators. So it's been a year.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
Especially having a nice announcement too, like a new.
Yeah. It's
new-
great.
Right.
Yes.
So what's involved in the role of coordinator beyond the title?
Oh.
Where should we start?
Yeah. That's a loaded question.
Obviously, overseeing of volunteers,
Of
hours,
course.
stuff like that, and then we can talk about the volunteers, and then maybe go into the logistics of
Behind the scenes.
accumulating the product that you need for the residents.
So our shifts right now, for anybody that doesn't know, right, we're open Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. till 12:45, Wednesday evenings from 4 till 7, and then the same times Thursday morning, so 9 till 12:45. So first and foremost, we have to be there, right, running the shift, making sure everything is kosher, making sure all the volunteers show up. We have hands on deck. So that's kind of the main focus that everybody sees, right? That's what Heather and I are basically there to do. And then we...
All the shopping. We
Yes.
shop a lot.
Yes, I know more grocery store prices than ever. If you ever want to know any deals, we are who to ask.
That couponing app.
Honestly.
Like, you gotta price match this. 'Cause I know where it is over
Oh,
there.
and the looks like we get in the store, right? Because we're loading up our carts. People look at us like we're hoarders. And I'm like, I've made a habit of wearing my food bank shirt now
Okay.
because
Not a
then
hoarder.
they realize they're like, oh, okay, that soup is not all for that lady, right? So,
Quick aside, then, when people see the shirt,
yes.
are they do you ever get on the spot donations or saying, okay, you know what, let me pay for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, our community, like, shout out to our community because we live in an amazing town. We really, really do. And even outside of our own town, like if we're for wherever, because we do go where, like you said, that coupon, right? We go where the price is right. So, for example, like I've been in No Frills in another town before, right? And they're like, oh, food bank here. Here's $20. Here, let's pay for that.
Okay.
And so it is definitely a recognition thing, right? So they
Okay.
see what we're doing.
Good.
So, yeah.
Okay.
How is demand right now?
It's, I mean, obviously,
January
economy.
is a funny month. Like we always expect it to be busier coming out of the holidays, but it generally isn't.
Because everybody's staying inside because it's so cold.
I think.
I don't want to go freeze.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely weather is a factor because a lot of our clients do walk, right? So that's, again, when we were looking for a new home, we had to make sure that we were kind of in the center of town to be able to suit those people, right? Because if we were outside of town, we would probably not be able to help as many people as we do now. So yeah, it's definitely weather dependent for sure sometimes.
Are you noticing because you've been volunteered with the food bank for so long, it's before helping to coordinate? Have you noticed a difference in trend? So like January's like you mentioned typically slow, but you know, is it more than what a typical January would look like, or is the demographic of your clientele changing?
I don't, you know what, every time we think we can kind of pinpoint a little bit of a trend or anything like that, it totally changes. It's hard.
And January is really usually quite low for donations, but we have just had donations pouring in
Oh, that's fantastic.
every day still. So it's been awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, our community is pretty amazing. But as far as trends, obviously we all feel it here in the economy, right? Every price is going up. And so do we see a lot more people that are working full time and not able to still make ends meet? Yes. So that would definitely be an influx in clients that we're seeing like that, which is, again, good that we have our Wednesday night shift because before it was always just morning shifts. So when Heather and I got involved, we kind of streamlined the Wednesday night shift, and Rotary was a big part of doing that Wednesday night shift. So they kind of got us up and running on the Wednesday nights. Now we're fully staffed and we're kind of like, we're good. But yeah, it was able to catch those people that weren't able to make it the 9 to 5 or whatever, right? So it's a good place to start for us. That was kind of our biggest thing when we first started at the food bank.
Mm-hmm.
So the move is coming, but you're still in the old spot right now. And open and operating?
Yep. Yes.
For how much longer, and how long do you think that transition is going to take?
Well, as it stands right now, we are set to be open, up and running for the clients as of April 1st in that new space. So between now and then, there's a lot of work that needs to be done on that space to make it feasible for us. So that is happening behind the scenes. And that is obviously a feat because we have trades involved and everything like that. So April 1st, I think we're hoping.
That's our date we're aiming for.
So what kind of work has to happen? Is it a full gut and rebuild?
We have a supporting wall that has to come down that cuts the whole space in half. Mm-hmm. A bathroom needs to be moved. A couple offices built. Nothing major, but that wall.
The wall is a big thing, right? So you have to have an engineer come in, right, and do spot tests and supporting beam and all that stuff. So that's all happening behind the scenes. We have a great guy on hand, Kyle Kosick. He's from Noah Homes. They've been amazing helping us. So he's kind of taken this project as a lead with Jeremy Truax helping us as well. So it's, again, our community, right? So.
And are you able to stay in the current location until March 31st? Is there any risk of being closed for a short period that people need to be aware of?
I think Robert's good to keep us until we are able to move over there.
Okay, great.
Yeah, who is our current landlord, who's been amazing because obviously he bought that building not knowing what was going to happen because we had started looking for a home prior to him purchasing. So I know that he's been very good with us, not raising our rent, understanding, I don't think his intention was that we were going to still be there right now, but we are.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden costs, right? Like a lot of people don't understand how the food bank functions or how it's funded or things, inputs, right? Like all of these renovations, rent, you have fixed costs that it's difficult to be able to provide and shop, like you're mentioning, based solely, just on hopes and dreams. You have to kind of plan for it and hope that there are revenue streams that come in. So how do you receive a lot of your money? Is it events that are generating, or is it just walk-in donations?
We are 100% donation-based and volunteer-based. We have donations coming in from everybody. Everybody. We have a gentleman that comes in once a month and $300 every month. And, we have regular donors all around. We have businesses that are constantly raising money for us and donating to us. We have a hockey team currently actually doing a fundraiser for us, and a large donation of pasta sauce and potatoes. We had a call today from even Canada Online Giving, where people can donate anonymously through them.
So
reaching out.
It just comes.
It just comes. It really does.
So, you have a social media presence. Like, do you see some of the benefits when, every time I see somebody who's come in and made a donation, it's like, you know what? We do live in a good place. There are people that are being kind and generous. Do you see more influx like that? Is there good community feedback?
Oh, 100%. I do. I think our social media could be better because we again are responsible for manning that.
You're doing a fine job.
Thank you. But I am not good on my own personal, so I've had to stretch out and kind of remind myself to be present on Facebook. So, but yes, I do see that. We've had kids, instead of getting birthday presents for their birthdays, choose to donate, which is amazing. I think, obviously, kudos to mom and dad in those situations, right? And then kids see kids, right? And I think it's great, even at a young age, to see, oh, okay, I don't need that extra Hot Wheels or whatever it is, and I can give back. And I do think that they feed off of each other, right? A little bit, like it's like a pay it forward kind of thing. If you see good, do good kind of thing. So yeah, I do think, and in regards to like donation based, that was the key point of our new space, right? We were able to secure a 10-year lease at a steady rent. So that's huge for our budget, right? So we know for the next 10 years what our costs are in regards to that. But you're right, like operating costs, right? There's a lot of that instead of just stocking the shelves. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that has to take place. So
well, and I think it's important, and you don't have to comment on this, but it's important to point out that when The town of Kingsville is gracious enough to allow you to rent the space, but there is an ongoing rent cost, and the food bank is responsible for any of the work that happens inside. That's not taxpayer dollars that's going towards that. It's donations that are required to pay for any of that work.
Exactly.
And an engineer, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would think it takes a lot of hockey teams to pay for an engineer.
Yeah, they're not cheap. But again, we do have a lot of the trades that are willing to donate their time too. What that looks like right now, we don't know. Like I said, Kyle is kind of taking the lead. We just answer his texts and whatever he needs from us. But yeah, it's, if anyone out there is wanting to donate any services to help renovate, reach out to the food bank.
Services.
Yeah.
Post about it on Facebook.
Seriously,
right?
I know.
Let's get a community event to move the food bank.
We
right?
actually plan to do that.
Like they moved the bar top at the Fog Lounge to their new location. We can move the food bank. It's a couple of blocks.
Right?
Pick
Yeah.
up a box of chickpeas.
So
I
who do
think-
they contact? Is it through social media? Is it one of you directly, or what's the best way
It's
to?
Meghan and I that man it all. So social media on Facebook Messenger, or we have an email at kingsvillefoodbank@gmail.com.
Or a good old phone call
Yeah,
and
phone.
a voicemail.
Yeah.
Because we check those too.
What's the number?
Yeah.
519-733-8591.
Okay.
And the email address is Kingsville Food Bank, all lowercase, all one word, @gmail.com.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we can come together if we're coming together with donations. Like that's a cost that can be avoided because you'd have to rent
Yes.
U-Haul and trucks. I'm sure you still will have to rent some of that.
I know Jeremy Truex has offered up his trucks to help us out, but
there's a lot of shelves in there. There's
and there's
6
stocked
deep
right now.
freezers. There's
There's a lot of potential for, I don't know, me, when I hear stuff like this, all of a sudden my mind just kind of goes and it goes and it goes. But you could make this somewhat of a festival day for the food bank in a sense of, if you can get donations of, let's say, a couple of people with barbecues to bring in and make it a real bringing together of the community for the cause.
Fill the food bank.
I think
Friday. Fill the food bank Friday.
How many freezers did you say?
6 deep freezers.
Why don't you have a walk-in freezer?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so this is what we're. Hold on, I just think I heard Steve volunteer to organize that though.
Sorry,
I think I did.
How was
I'm
that?
not a logistic person, but I'm kind of throwing it out there for if
You're an
anyone
idea.
wants to step up.
It's an idea, man.
Okay, I got excited.
We did have another gentleman come in today offering his 24-foot trailer and his time as well. To help
Again,
us out,
though,
so.
people just walking in, right? Like eager to help. But yeah, 6 deep freezers, 2 stand-up freezers, 2 coolers. Like, yeah, there's a lot. So that's where a forklift and Jeremy Truex's trucks will come in handy, hopefully, because it's daunting to think that we have to move it all, but it's going to be so great in a new space, and a walk-in cooler would be amazing.
I think necessary.
I know.
We
I know.
literally just had this conversation this morning.
Yes. Because, again, right, we are in a small space, so we were pretty limited, right? It's going to be very nice to have it all, because it grew, right? Like the food bank started in 1996 in the lobby of a church, right? And it's now just built to this, which is amazing. But it's been built in pieces. So it'll be nice to have one conducive environment for everything.
And with the recent news of the funding for the West Side Collector Road, there's 2,900 more homes that are going to come to the community over the coming years.
Yes.
Right? Like if our community is now finding this as a necessity in order to make ends meet, like it's only going to continue to grow and evolve as time goes on.
I can't wait to see what happens over there, because I don't know if people are going to be more willing to come in that really need our services that won't do it now because of our location.
I say you're probably right, Heather. Like the embarrassment factor or the
It's a pride thing.
pride, exactly. And there's one thing to do that and to sacrifice for others, but if that's what's preventing you from taking care of you and yours, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here, right?
And as much as people, I don't know if anyone saw that Facebook post. I think it was probably about a year or so ago. And it was something about using the food bank and, Are you afraid to use it because you get seen? And the majority of the comments, and I did screenshot it, and the majority of the comments were, yeah, I won't go because of that. And then someone had piped in and said, oh, don't worry. Like, no one, I'll go for you. Don't be shy. And I'm like, you know what? It is human nature. People judge, unfortunately.
So, okay, help us out. When somebody needs to use the services, how does that work?
So you come in, basically, we require, so first and foremost, to be a client of the food bank, you have to be a resident of Kingsville, Kingsville municipality. So obviously Cottam and Ruthven are captured in that too. We require proof of ID, proof of address, and then we ask just basic income expense info, right? Like, what do you got going on, right? Have an honest conversation with the person. So basically, once they come in and provide those, then we have a standing item list that basically they circle whatever they need. So we have it categorized, like we have meat, dairy, produce, your pantry items, and they can access our services every 2 weeks. So it's pretty great. Like Heather and I have toured other food banks and other communities, other municipalities. We are very fortunate, once again. Like we have an amazing community that gives.
Okay, so based on their demands, you prepackage the...
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, honestly, it's set up like a little grocery store there. So they fill out their sheet, the little volunteer goes through, fills out their boxes, and then they go out the door with it.
Yeah, so there's the amount of time spent is just upfront, and then it's utilize the services as necessary, right?
Exactly.
Right. It's not you're in there for a prolonged amount of time and being, criticized for what you're doing. No, we're here to help.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love, like, in a perfect world, to have like a little coffee pot set up, right? Because some people just need that social interaction too, right? They just need that little bit of conversation because maybe they don't have that anywhere else, right? But in the space that we're in now, it's like we're in a little shoebox.
A little tight.
It's hard, but you know what we do? We have great relationships with our clients, and we share laughs and tears, many tears. And
I sometimes see on social media people who have had a bit of a rough go, managed to get on their feet, done well for themselves, and have kind of reciprocated that and given back. Have you had any instances like that where someone has utilized your services and months, years later have come back and said, listen, you got me out of this pickle, I want to help you out?
We have so amazing. Those are the best feel-good stories going.
It really is. Or we have clients that are like, you know what, this is my last visit and I've gotten a job and I'm not going to need this service anymore. And it's like, it's amazing, right? It reminds us why we're doing what we're doing, right? Because we spend a lot of hours there. And again, right, we're volunteers, but it's you get paid in different ways, I guess, that way.
And the one thing that I think is important to point out is that when you gave that list asking people what they wanted, it was milk, it was produce, it was meat, it was bread. You didn't mention a bag of beans or a can of chickpeas.
Craft dinner. I'm sure you guys
or the expired Uncle Ben's that's in the back of someone's.
Yeah, we're going to get there. We'll get to that about the donation and what you shouldn't give them.
Okay.
Because it turns into garbage. Anyway.
That's what I was gonna.
Oh, that was
I was gonna say,
yeah.
like you should, like people need to understand that donation is great, and you should always give whatever it's possible to give. But really, for a food bank, money is king. Cash matters.
It does help fill the gaps, right? Like again, donations are great, but we don't always get. Like we have to buy our perishables every week, right? Because nobody's really donating your milk or your margarine or your eggs or, anything like that. So yes, cash definitely helps us stock the shelves most and what is needed. Of course, though, chickpeas, I mean, you gotta love a good chickpea.
Well, yeah, listen, I'm not going to turn hummus down.
Right.
But the point I was getting to was if we go back a couple of years through COVID, and it was the July 27th miracle?
Oh, June 27th.
Sorry. I knew it was a J month. I know, right? And we were stocking. And part of the process while we were filling the food bank was sorting for all the expired items. And a lot of people get the misconception that, I've had this jar of, salad dressing in my cupboard for 2.5 years, and somebody can eat it, so I'm just going to deliver it to the food bank. So what happened?
Please check your expiration dates.
It turns into
Public
garbage,
service announcement.
right? It turns into garbage.
Unfortunately.
We do have a certain timeline that we can use some of those products past their best before, not their expiration. But it's a short window.
Yeah, and it kind of takes up space, and it takes up time and resources.
It does.
And we don't have a bin to put our garbage in, so it just sits in our back room, which is already tight.
So it does. Yeah, it is a little bit of a pickle that you come across every once in a while.
Not lakeside pickles, because those are delicious.
They are. They are.
It's those other ones.
Yeah.
Bix, whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, but because we do follow Food Bank Canada guidelines, we can give out slightly expired. So I don't know, Second Harvest, if anybody has ever heard of Second Harvest. So we work with them as well. So we get a lot of extras that we don't generally carry. So there may be some items that, are treats considered. But our clients love that, right? We put up what did we get? We got Rice Krispie squares and stuff, and they see that and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's awesome," right? We try to keep those items too for clients with kids in school, right? The little snack treats.
So, any other items of importance that aren't food? Is there things that a food bank stocks and has available that isn't consumable?
We do. We carry personal care items. We carry laundry detergent, dish soap, body soap, shampoo, razors. What am I missing?
Feminine hygiene products.
Hygiene products.
Toothpaste,
child care items.
We do get diapers. We don't really have a ton of children like that age right now. We do keep some. We pass them along usually to the Keys program, and then they get to them that way.
Yeah. It's working together as a community in order
Absolutely.
to satisfy the needs.
Yes. We also help that little pantry, the Knights of Columbus pantry in front of the OPP station. We kind of help supplement them as well. If we have an overstock of items, Mr. Noodles, a lot of Mr. Noodles.
Got you through college, right?
Yeah, right? Oh, you just had that conversation today too.
Just got you through college.
Right?
I am this much sodium. Yes. This part of me is sodium. And ramen.
I thought it was smart to mix it with vegetable soup.
What?
Oh, delicious.
You
but
almost-
sodium bomb.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you had a little vegetable in there, so it made it okay.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So of the things in need, I know you occasionally on social media post, hey, the food bank's looking for these items. Would you say that either a phone call to the bank or watching the social media is kind of a good way to stay up to date with some recent needs?
Or just a phone call to us even, because we've had a lot of people coming in with freezer items, which is amazing. But freezer space is limited right now. And we do have a gentleman that also I didn't mention earlier. He donates a cow every 2 months roughly.
Cow.
Dang.
And so we have to pick that up at the abattoir. And
So we just pay for the processing fee, which is amazing,
yes.
right?
Amazing.
It's it's a whole cow.
It is.
Yeah.
And we get the soup bones and the tongue and all that yummy stuff too, which
Is it
people...
Is it mostly ground beef? Is that
Yeah,
the
they make it,
Yeah.
they package it for us in little ground beef
Oh, wow.
and everything. So
You're eating healthier than me.
Yeah.
I don't like cow. No, I get it. That's great.
We do have our bin at Zares too. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but when you leave the cashier, it's always there. It always has our needs list posted on there, and then in our window at the food bank. So if you're ever doing a drive-by, you can peek in and see.
Until you move off the main street, then you'd have to make a trip by.
Yes.
Which is, let's get in the habit of, if you are interested in assisting the food bank, that, we exercise looking at social media or giving a phone call and say, hey, what are your immediate needs aside from, your cash donations, if that's what you're so able to do. So what's the one exciting thing that's going to happen first and foremost? We're going to have a grand opening ceremony.
Absolutely.
Yes, I would love to once we're in there. We want to do kind of an open house thing, right? Invite the community because they are essentially who funds the food bank, right? Come in and see what we do. Because a lot of people are, and I was one of them, right? I was very ignorant, born and raised in Kingsville. I was very ignorant to a food bank and the needs and what? We have a food bank in Kingsville? What are you talking about? Since getting involved, obviously, my eyes are pretty wide open. But yeah, it's exciting, and I think that everybody should come and take a peek when that happens. We'll definitely announce it on social media.
I'm going to piggyback on that last comment. How has that impacted, not necessarily your parenting, but your message towards your own kids? No, because there's
I know exactly where you're going. No, it's fantastic.
No, but it's, because it does change. It's changed your way of thinking, and maybe it's changed your approach, and wonder like, well, did they think the way I thought at that age and that kind of thing? I'm wondering what impact it's had in your homes.
I think we both get our kids in there pretty regularly to help us out.
They do. They see that. Also, I think they just they realize how fortunate they are, right? And I don't know if they see that just from my volunteering, even just on my time, right? Knowing like, hey, Mom, you're not even getting paid to do this, and you're spending how many hours there? And then you're helping all these people, and it's kind of full circle. But I
think my 16-year-old will see it more further down the road than he does now. But
no, I don't disagree. I've had my own conversations with my kids, and it's sort of, sometimes it's a little bit eye-opening at first, and then they realize, okay, and then, they sort of share that with their friends, and the next thing there's again, the birthday parties or whatever stem from those conversations too. So
yes, and I mean, my kids hate it because, packing lunches, and if they come home and the food's not eaten, well, you're getting that tomorrow in your lunch too. So waste in my house is not really, I try to limit it as much as possible. But yeah, I think it does definitely trickle down, and it does from their friends and sports teams and whatnot, right? They see things, and I think they get influenced by that. So
they may not know it now, but it's in there.
Yeah.
We've planted the seed, right?
Oh, and if they're seeing the benefit that you as parents are doing, right, then it's gonna trickle down, and it's gonna kind of show itself in other ways.
Yeah, for sure,
100%.
Ladies, exciting time.
It is.
Thanks for coming in and sharing all the developments. Please reach out if there's things that you have in certain need and demand. We can talk about it on the show again. But we'll all be looking forward to the new opportunity in April.
So much extra opportunity over there.
And sorry, it took a while to get here. It's not that we didn't want to sit down and talk with you guys, but we wanted to wait until we had this announcement, right?
Absolutely.
So it's exciting.
Again, the phone number is 733-8591.
You got it.
It's not far from my old home phone number.
I know. I was like, how did he remember that?
My old phone number was 859 something else.
That's okay. Well, there you go.
And then it was Kingsville Food Bank at gmail.com.
You got it.
Perfect. So thank you, Heather. Thank you, Meghan, for joining us on That Kingsville podcast.
Thank you, guys.
Where's my tartan?
So 2,900 homes getting built on the west side of town is going to essentially be another town on the west side of town. Right? We're essentially putting Cottam.
If you average three individuals per home.
Well, how big is Cottam? Cottam can't be
That's the average.
No, 2,900.
Right. No, I'm saying so you're looking at another 9,000 people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry.
Right.
Sorry, stop.
That's an enormous endeavor.
From?
Like what a ditch. He's in a ditch.
Van down by the river.
Like what would the town of Kingsville and our current footprint be population wise? What are we now? 10,000, 11,000?
No, we're 20.
Yeah.
Whoa, but entire town.
Yeah.
Right. So what?
Entire town's like 20.
How many dwell?
Yeah, 24,000, right? So that includes Ruthven and Cottam.
Right.
So what about just the town boundaries proper?
Like the former town?
No, yeah, the current, Division to Road 2 to Jasperson-ish to Heritage. That's got to be 8,000 people, 10,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
So we're doubling town.
Potentially,
right?
I would say, excuse me,
I'm Googling
maybe
swellings instead of dwellings.
Swellings are wonderful for statistics too.
Different.
Yeah. But that's, it's a big deal. Like this is not just a road. This is the future, irreparably the future of the town of Kingsville. With that amount of facilities and infrastructure being installed, like it is a need, but holy cow, when you put it into context like that, that's big, a big deal.
So the entire town of Kingsville has 8,285 dwellings total. That includes 6,880 single detached homes, 325 semis, 525 row houses, 75 apartment or flats in a duplex, 430 units in apartment style buildings, and 50 movable dwellings. So total private households by household size, 100% of data is 8,285, and that includes Cottam and Ruthven. That's the Kingsville Census Metropolis area.
So let's say then, realistically, 75% of those are in the town proper then.
Yeah, so you're basically doubling.
It's crazy. That's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
So
no.
So here's an interesting
Mind blown.
Fact about this road that people may not be aware of. So the road runs and is and this is according to, and I do want to say that there's a very slim chance that these plans have changed since. However, these plans are from the environmental assessment that was released in December of 2023. So if they have changed, then that would mean that there was an amendment to an environmental assessment, which would have approval processes and come to council. So I don't believe that that's happened or these have changed. So the road would run, and as everyone's aware, I think it's an extension of Heritage. So it'd run north and kind of veer a bit to the west before hugging the property line between the two properties that are there.
known as Fox Lane.
Right. So then it continues north. There'll be 2 proposed side streets that come off that road. And then it goes to almost Road 2, but will not connect to Road 2. The water line is there to come off of Road 2, but as part of the environmental assessment for this project, which is currently moving forward, there are no plans to connect it to Road 2. That is for a future project.
Interesting.
So
I wonder if it'll be a flat road.
A flat road? Wait, I don't think they're going to build hills.
Yeah.
Well, no, just some like.
Oh.
I don't understand.
You're speaking about the wavy,
I'm just
road paving that we've
maybe
had
it'll be-
recently on Road 2.
wondering if it'll be a flat road. That's
Right.
all.
I would hope. I would hope.
So, and I mean, I'm no expert on emergency planning. However, I would think that having like roughly half, let's call it a third of your population living in an area that has one in and out off of one major artery is not going to be ideal. So I would assume that they'll be forcing the developers to build those cross connections to Prince Albert before they're allowed to begin development, because there'll be no way for them. If they're not going to Road 2, then the only other possible way that they'll be able to exit that development would be Prince Albert and Palmer.
I was going to say Palmer. Yeah.
The Bernath subdivision.
Right.
Milestone.
So that's
right over here.
That's a lot of construction.
Hey, people don't need to know where we are.
Oh, we're right over here, over there, over here,
in the general vicinity of
roundabouts,
the Mill Creek. But so everyone's aware, like there's a lot of construction that's going to have to happen to allow for emergency planning for fire trucks to be able to access that area properly and safely. If the town and I would think the town will have to take out another environmental assessment to complete that final phase, because the actual design of that is not part of the initial environmental assessment.
Yeah, this is the start, right? And I get it.
It's the start to and then be like within a couple hundred meters.
It's a couple hundred. It's a kilometer, right? That whole access is.
Yeah, but the
right.
final piece they're not building.
I know, but
is a high school sprint.
If only we had a track. But it's happening. So, potential of 2,900 more homes in Kingsville. all those folks that are, latching on to small town, it's gone, right? It's gone, folks. This is the wave of the future. This is what's happening. Let's do it right. Let's plan appropriately. Let's be strategic, and let's figure it out so we don't stretch the town like our neighboring community to the east.
I'm so pessimistic about this project. I can't.
Did you notice I just played devil's advocate to everything you were going to say for a reason?
I know.
Point counterpoint here on that Kingsville podcast. Kevin Black versus Dave Hunt.
I cannot imagine that we'll be driving on this road in any way, shape, or form in the next 5 years. I don't think that I'll be able to drive my car on an assumed named town of Kingsville plowed road in that general area before 2030.
Do we want to take that as like one of the predictions of? You might be right.
We're off to a flying start, so we might as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that has to happen, right? Infrastructure has to be constructed, developed, plotted, like all the water treatment, all of the electrical, everything has to be planned, developed, run, executed. So there's a lot. It's not just pavement on ground,
right?
So you might be right. But if history is...
Well, it took 3 years to reconstruct Road 2. And this is a brand new road. So imagine how long this one's going to take.
But by the same token, if you consider the funding that's just been provided, they're not just going to give you that funding and say, sit on it for 5 years.
Right. And not only that, though, too.
Well,
but whatever.
They don't cut you a check.
No, but they're going to want to see progress.
Mm-hmm. And they also, if it's not coming out of our taxpayer coffers, then that helps our budgetary allotment towards all infrastructure development in the future. It doesn't have to go towards that portion. But
they'll need building permits to be filed to collect those development charges.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Anyway, that's a big deal, right? Stuff's happening.
It's a developing story.
Buckle up.
Buckle up.
Speaking of developing stories, one last one for you for this episode. Lost another festival for this year. So the Highland Games is postponed for 2025 due to scheduling conflicts. So not much other information out there, but, we lost the, what did they call it? Kingsville Music Fest?
Yeah.
Festival.
Folk Fest.
Greenway
Jam.
Right. Was the Greenway Jam, was the Folk Fest. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to happen in its former kind of organizational, fundamental eventness. Yeah. So there's still talk and discussion about whether or not there's anything to be done this year. Probably not. It does take a lot of time to prepare and plan events like that. But hearing that the Highland Games, unfortunately, taking the hiatus, let's hope they can recover and build better and have a more appropriate Scottish themed event. It's
going to be an immersive Scottish
immersive. Thank you.
Immersive Scottish experience.
So you're going to make your own haggis.
Yeah.
And
you actually cut down the trees to build the cabers.
So Kevin, you brought up a good point earlier when we were discussing this in show prep, because believe it or not, the three of us buffoons do the mildest amount of show prep.
But not news. We are
not the news. Definitely not the news.
Informed opinions.
Buffoons. Remember that time when the town of Kingsville bought a whole bunch of fabric that was a specific tartan for this festival?
Do I feel like the price tag on that was like $12,000?
It's a lot of money. Do you think that we have any left?
It's a good question.
I think we should see if we can buy some and make it the official That Kingsville podcast merchandise.
Well, technically, we already bought it.
Yeah, but
our tax dollars
maybe
for it.
Maybe we can find it in a storage locker somewhere that's collecting dust,
just hanging around.
Yeah.
So we have some swatches.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll redo our logo. We'll put the tartan in it.
You're Scottish, right, Steve? And in other news,
wow,
you don't have the accent, right? A lot of people.
Hey, on that, the taxpayers also paid for a lot of fencing for the Kingsville Folk Fest. I wonder whatever happened to that fencing. Remember all
I'm
the
sure they'll-
fencing that went all the way around? I'm sure
thought it
town's
was
probably
rented.
got that somewhere, right?
Or it was rented.
No.
Oh, that's owned?
No, it was owned.
That's
yeah,
gotta be
no,
somewhere.
there was a grant that went to.
Was it? That's
The-
got to be owned. It's kicking around here somewhere. Maybe we can fence off some just random lot somewhere.
We could hang the tartan on the fencing.
We could. That would be great. Steve, anything to add before we wrap this
I got nothing.
dumpster fire up?
No.
No. Special thanks again to Heather and Meghan for joining us on this episode. Remember, facilities like the Kingsville Food Bank only thrive based upon donations, as they communicated. So if it is ever in your heart to be kind and donate, they're one of the great organizations that do a lot of benefit in our little community that we all seem to love so much.
Maybe throw a $5 in with that can of chickpeas.
Yeah, or instead of just buying chickpeas, you know what? Humble brag. Here we go. Humble brag, Dave. Whenever I do shop for the food bank, I do not buy the beans, the chickpeas, the Kraft dinner. I find other things that are kind of, necessities that you wouldn't think of to donate to a food bank that are non-perishable, right? There's many different things in a grocery store. Just take 5 extra minutes. If you're going to actually make a physical donation, be a little picky choosy, right? It's other people, and they're going to want to be able to use that item, right? You can only drive so many red kidney beans down your throat before you ever want to see another one again.
Did you learn that in one of your committees?
And on that note, thanks for joining us on that Kingsville podcast. I'm still trying to get this to be my full-time career other than my regular day job. I know.
We're accepting donations.
No.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
But special thanks. We have reached a couple of milestones. You people really do like us. We're over 1,000 followers on social media and more than 300 subscribers on the YouTube. So, again, appreciate everything. We'll see you next time.
It's all bots.
Not bots. It's not bots.